The destruction and abandonment of palaces and settlements across the Aegean came to be known as Greece's Dark Ages. An era that lasted around 300 years, from 1100 to 800 BC. Historians traditionally dismiss this as a period of obscurity, an interruption in the otherwise glorious progress of Greek history. The population plummeted by 3/4. Those who were left were forced to scratch out an existence. The causes of the catastrophe remain a mystery. Was it environmental disaster, plague, famine, earthquake, cataclysmic war, deadly internal power struggles, or perhaps a perfect storm of all of them? Whatever it was, Mycenae and other kingdoms across the Mediterranean rapidly fell apart, ushering in a new age that was characterized by hardship, pain, and grief. The accepted history was that the visual arts almost disappeared during the Dark Ages. Certainly one casualty was the human figure, which vanished from Greek art for several centuries. Yet in recent years, the idea of a lengthy interruption in Greek art and culture has been challenged. Just off the eastern coast of the Greek mainland lies the island of Euboea. Here, evidence is only now emerging that life in the so-called Dark Ages wasn't quite as dark as has been thought. The site is known today as Lefkandi. For 3,000 years, there was nothing here but a gigantic mound. When they started digging, though, they uncovered the remains of a vast building. It was 45 meters in length. It had a thatched roof, and it was surrounded by a wooden colonnade, preceding the architecture of Greek temples by an astonishing 2 centuries at least. But the most exciting discovery of all was hidden even deeper. They discovered the cremated remains of a man in his 40s and the skeleton of a younger woman. Among the grave goods were fine items of jewelry, including a Babylonian necklace that at the time was already 1,000 years old. And nearby, they came across a remarkable object dating from the 10th century BC that pointed the way to an emergent new vision for Greek art. This impish little fellow is a centaur, a fantastical creature, half man, half horse, potentially an unruly being on the fringes of civilization. And to our eyes, he looks initially like a toy, a plaything, a My Little Centaur for the ancient world. But it would be doing him a disservice to belittle him like that, because he offers us the first known depiction of mythology in Greek sculpture. He doesn't quite have the impact of the Lion Gate at Mycenae or the so-called Mask of Agamemnon, but this pixie-ish creature offers a blueprint for the development of Greek art over the next few centuries, because it combines a love of geometric pattern with a passion for mythology. At their studio in Athens, Vicky Heather-Raleigh and her colleagues have spent years learning how to faithfully reproduce the black figure technique. First, decorative bands are painted on to show where the design should be drawn. Then Vicky begins to mark out the design on the pot.
Η πρώτο είναι η τοποθέτηση.
Can I see what it's doing? Right, so it's a very clever way of transferring the design.
Τώρα, με ένα διαβήτη σχεδιάζω τις ασπίδες και πιάνω το κέντρο. Δηλαδή, το τοποθετώ το σχέδιό μου στο κέντρο και φτιάχνοντας με το διαβήτη τους κύκλους της ασπίδας, έχω οριοθετήσει πού ακριβώς θα πέσουν και οι φιγούρες μου.
Do you think that ancient artists would use tools like this, or was it all freehand?
Αποκλείεται να το κάνανε με το χέρι.
The next stage is for Vicky to paint on the figures using a watered-down clay. You're applying a colour to the pot which looks kind of orangey red. So how does it turn black?
Είναι η άργυλος η άψητη. Όταν λοιπόν ψηθεί, λόγω των οξυδίων του σιδήρου, θα μαυρίσει και θα έχει το αποτέλεσμα του μελανόμορφου αγγείου.
What was new about Black Figure was the use of a sharp point to scratch in the detail, a technique learnt from Middle Eastern metalworkers. I think I've got a basic handle on the technique, and I know that I've got down here, well, this is a pot you've prepared already, which is the same design, but it's once it's been fired. So it's a total transformation, obviously.
Έτσι είναι αυτό. Αυτή είναι μια ολοκληρωμένη παράσταση, μελανόμορφη, με τα επίθετά της χρώματα, με το χαραγματάκι της, με ένα αιχμηρό αντικείμενο. Αυτό είναι